In youth, a man is governed not by reason but by fire. His blood runs hot with desires, ambitions, and illusions. He believes the world owes him something, that time is infinite, that power is a matter of charm or chance. He confuses noise with influence and passion with strength. Every slight is taken personally, every compliment is taken as truth. He spends years reacting instead of planning, chasing approval instead of building leverage. His life is not his own, it is in the hands of others. He is easily swayed, easily used, and easily discarded. In those early decades, a man is not dangerous because he lacks direction. He has not yet suffered enough betrayal to develop caution, nor enough failure to birth discipline. He walks blindfolded into alliances, into careers, into love, unaware that all things are transactional. He imagines loyalty is natural, that merit is rewarded, that honesty will protect him. He hasn't yet learned that every favor has a price, every smile conceals motive, and every opportunity is a test of awareness. The youth lives in fantasy, trusting the surface and ignoring the undercurrents. But time is a ruthless tutor. By the time a man reaches 40, if he has paid attention to the lessons of his wounds, he begins to see with new eyes. The masks fall away. The world no longer appears as a place of infinite potential, but as a chessboard, cold, competitive, and governed by unseen rules. He understands now that nothing is free, and every move either weakens or strengthens his position. He no longer gambles blindly, he calculates. He no longer speaks quickly, he listens. And most importantly, he no longer seeks to impress, he seeks to dominate his domain. Before 40, the man is at the mercy of his nature. He makes decisions in haste driven by ego, pride, and insecurity. After 40, he begins to master himself. His emotions no longer ride on every event. His reactions are measured. He knows when to strike and when to wait. He has seen betrayal enough to expect it, and loyalty enough to know it is often fleeting. Time has taught him that appearances are tools, not truths, and that virtue without strength is a liability. At this age, wisdom is not a theory, it is a necessity. Every scar becomes a lesson. Every loss a blueprint. Every mistake a foundation for strategy. This is when true power begins to form, not in public displays or loud declarations, but in the quiet, disciplined control of self. The man who has survived his own naivety is now more than a survivor. He is an architect of outcomes. He can influence without speaking, unsettle without threat, lead without being seen. The strength he possesses is not physical, but psychological. He knows what he wants, what he can give, and what he must take. And for the first time in his life, he is not trying to be something, he simply is. In the early stages of life, ambition is loud, erratic, and fueled by emotion. A man in his youth believes that desire alone is enough to shape destiny. He is pulled in every direction by impulses masquerading as purpose. He mistakes passion for power and action for strategy. He charges ahead with untested plans driven by pride, often unaware of how others perceive him or how his moves are being used to benefit someone else. He wants results instantly, attention constantly, and respect without earning it. His ambition is a fire without control, consuming, impressive, but easily extinguished by circumstance. As the years pass and disappointments accumulate, something begins to shift. The same man, now bruised by failures and sharpened by conflict, begins to move differently. Emotion no longer commands him the way it once did. He becomes skeptical of promises, reserved in his reactions, and deliberate in his pursuits. He begins to understand that passion, while intoxicating, is rarely reliable. What he once chased with enthusiasm, he now evaluates with scrutiny. He learns that emotion is a luxury the powerful cannot afford when stakes are high. By the time he reaches the age where illusions fade, he understands that ambition, if not guided by clarity, becomes a weakness. At this stage, he no longer runs after every opportunity. He measures them, weighs their cost, and calculates their benefit. He no longer seeks approval for his goals. He hides them, because now he knows the value of concealment. Strategy takes the place of spontaneity. He doesn't rush to speak, he listens, studies, and then moves in silence. He no longer shows his passion because passion exposes intent, and intent makes one vulnerable. The man who matures learns to delay gratification, not out of patience, but out of calculation. He understands that timing is a weapon. He does not seek to win every battle. He picks the ones that matter and makes sure they are won decisively. He no longer reacts when provoked, because he understands the power of restraint. Every action is filtered through a question. Does this serve my long game? If not, he discards it. Emotion is not erased, but controlled. It becomes a tool rather than a master. When needed, he can show warmth, but it is always strategic. When required, he can show fury, but it is always timed. He comes to understand that influence is not gained through chaos, but through discipline. True strength is silent. True control is invisible. His ambition now is like a blade, refined, focused, and capable of precision. He doesn't waste energy on battles that feed his ego. He engages in those that build his dominion. While others burn out chasing noise, he builds a fortress out of consistency and silence. What once drove him blindly now obeys him like a trained animal. Passion still exists, but only where it serves a calculated outcome. Emotion still lives, but it no longer leads. Strategy sits on the throne. As a man matures, one of the most painful but liberating truths he learns is this: people are not what they seem, and relationships are rarely what they claim to be. In youth, a man is taught to value loyalty and connection above all else. He is told that people are inherently good, that trust is a virtue, and that sincerity will be repaid in kind. So he invests heavily in others, friends, partners, allies, believing that shared feelings will result in shared outcomes. He gives freely, speaks openly, and expects that goodwill will return to him in equal measure. But reality does not honor fantasy. Over time, that same man will see his openness used against him, his kindness interpreted as weakness, his loyalty met with betrayal. He begins to notice patterns: how people draw near when they need something, how admiration quickly turns to envy, how promises evaporate when they are no longer convenient. He learns that people's actions are driven not by their stated values, but by their private interests. It is not who you are that matters to them, but what you can give, what you represent, or what they can extract. Eventually, he stops asking who is loyal and starts asking who benefits. He no longer places people in the categories of good or bad, right or wrong. These labels are childish. Instead, he evaluates utility. Is this person an asset or a threat? Can they be used to advance a cause, or will they become an obstacle? Emotions no longer cloud the judgment. Sentiment is replaced with structure. He observes behavior, not words. He tracks patterns, not promises. He does not expect gratitude. He prepares for betrayal. This clarity is not born out of cynicism, but of experience. It is not cruelty that sharpens his judgment, but survival. He learns that proximity does not mean loyalty, and history does not guarantee trust. People will shift, bend, and betray when their interests demand it. Even the closest bond can be severed by envy or fear. Love is real, but it's fragile. Respect is necessary, but it must be enforced. Fear is the more stable currency, so he begins to construct boundaries like walls. He compartmentalizes, he limits access, he never reveals the full map of his mind. What he says is calculated, what he shares is measured. He learns to listen more than he speaks, and to speak only when it serves a purpose. Those who are useful, he keeps close, but never too close. Those who show signs of instability, he distances or discards. His circle becomes smaller but sharper. Relationships are no longer about emotion. They are about alignment. He becomes skilled at playing roles. Friend, mentor, partner. Not because he believes in them, but because he understands their strategic value. He gives just enough to inspire trust, but never enough to be exposed. Every connection is a negotiation, every interaction a move in a larger game. He is no longer surprised when people reveal their true nature. He expects it. He prepares for it. He leverages it. In youth, a man often lives only for the present. His focus is short-term, reactive, and shaped by ego. He chases pleasure, applause, and validation from the crowd. His vision rarely extends beyond the next day, the next win, the next moment of recognition. He may speak of legacy, but his actions betray him. Undisciplined, scattered, lacking in structure, he confuses movement with progress and visibility with importance. His days are consumed by petty rivalries, emotional outbursts, and an endless cycle of starting without finishing. He burns his energy on things that do not last. But as a man matures, if he has paid attention, he begins to understand that real power is not found in moments but in structures. He sees that every empire, every institution, every enduring reputation was not built by accident or by bursts of enthusiasm, but by unrelenting discipline. He learns that what you build must be designed to outlive you, that permanence demands sacrifice, that glory without substance fades faster than it arrives. The man who truly grows into maturity sees time not as an enemy, but as an ally. He begins to think in decades, not days. Discipline becomes his compass. He no longer does what feels good. He does what is necessary. His actions are not guided by emotion but by outcome. He becomes methodical, precise. His calendar is no longer chaotic. His routines are carved like stone. Every hour has purpose. Every day is a step in the direction of his design. He stops giving energy to people and things that do not align with the structure he is building. If it doesn't contribute, it is cut off. Not with rage, not with noise. Just quietly, cleanly, and with finality. The mature man understands that legacy is not created through talk or titles. It is forged in repetition, in hidden labor, in relentless consistency. Reputation becomes more than a reflection. It becomes currency. He guards it with vigilance. He does not attach his name to anything he cannot stand behind. He does not speak idly, does not act impulsively, because he knows that perception is power. Every move he makes is part of a larger architecture. Every interaction is either strengthening his name or weakening it. There is no neutral ground. He also begins to invest differently. Not just in things, but in people. He identifies those who can endure pressure, who operate with loyalty under silence, who think long-term. These are the ones he builds with. The rest he lets drift. His standard rises, and so does the quality of those around him. He no longer teaches lessons to the unworthy. He spends no time correcting fools. His circle becomes a fortress, not a playground. The man who builds for permanence sees life as a series of investments, some emotional, some financial, all strategic. He understands that consistency is rare, and that the world forgets those who do not etch their names into the stone of history. So he wakes up before the others. He works when no one watches. He perfects the small details, not for applause, but because he understands that the foundation determines the future. In the early phases of life, a man is often a slave to his emotions, to the opinions of others, and to the chose of his surroundings. He believes freedom is the ability to do whatever he pleases, to indulge desires without restriction, to speak without consequence, to chase pleasures without discipline. He confuses lack of structure with liberty, when in truth it is nothing but disorder. He is easily manipulated, constantly reacting, endlessly searching for identity in the reflection of others. His pride is fragile, his direction uncertain, and his actions inconsistent. He mistakes rebellion for strength and noise for significance. But with time, the intelligent man begins to see that true freedom has nothing to do with chaos and everything to do with control. Not control over others, not yet, but control over self, over reaction, over impulse, over desire. He learns that the man who cannot govern himself will be governed by everyone and everything around him, that he who is led by emotion will always be defeated by the one who is led by reason. Freedom, real freedom, is not found in license but in mastery. It is not in breaking rules, but in learning which rules bend and which must never. He stops explaining himself. He stops performing for acceptance. He no longer feels the need to justify his choices to people who add nothing to his life. He recognizes that the masses move in herds, driven by fear, trends, and collective illusion. He has no desire to be among them. Instead, he learns to walk alone, not out of arrogance, but out of necessity, because he understands that solitude sharpens vision, and vision is the weapon of the sovereign mind. He begins to detach from the need for validation. Praise no longer intoxicates him, and criticism no longer derails him. He sees both for what they are, tools of influence, not measures of truth. He becomes immune to flattery, alert to manipulation, and indifferent to popularity. The only approval he seeks is from the future version of himself, the one who will look back and measure the man he became against the chaos he overcame. Circumstances no longer define him. He adapts without losing form. When tested, he does not collapse, he calculates. When denied, he does not beg, he builds. When betrayed, he does not curse, he corrects. The external world may shift, but his internal order remains intact. This internal order becomes his armor. While others are ruled by the external, politics, gossip, emotion, he remains anchored in discipline. He knows exactly what he wants, why he wants it, and what he is willing to do to get it. He becomes untouchable not because he is isolated, but because he is internally fortified. His mind is not up for rent. His time is not up for waste. His emotions are not up for exploitation. He lives on principle, not pressure. He acts with design, not desperation. While others are owned by their vices, their cravings, their need to be seen, he operates above them, not by birthright but by effort. At 40, the man who has endured, observed, and adapted emerges not just older, but transformed. He is no longer driven by illusions or enslaved by emotion. He does not chase approval, nor does he flinch at isolation. He has buried his former self, the naive, reactive, eager version, and risen as something colder, clearer, and infinitely more effective. Where once there was noise, now there is precision. Where once there was chaos, now there is structure. He no longer plays games he cannot win, nor fights battles that do not serve the greater outcome. His life is no longer dictated by the world around him. It is sculpted by his will. At 40, real life begins not because time has passed, but because power has finally taken root.